So now let's talk a little bit about the characters and the world, and also the biggest problem I have with this game so far. Because for me, RPGs live and die based on their worlds, companions, and lore. After all, they're the cornerstone of what we remember most about these types of games years later. First of all, Baldur's Gate 3 takes place in a universe called the Forgotten Realms. It's the most popular campaign setting for the Dungeons & Dragons tabletop game, and because of that, it has now decades of extensive and interesting lore to pull from. This isn't just goblins and ogres. There are interdimensional dragon-riding aliens, entirely foreign planes of existence, and a host of gods that terrorize the lands. And throughout Baldur's Gate 3, you get the chance to read tons of different books or talk to lots of different NPCs all over the world, and it's handled so well. You get to hear about remarkable people that you then later meet, or gods of immense power that you can call upon. And everything just feels like it has so much depth and history to it because, well, it does. It's pretty obvious that some of the writers and designers at Larian must be dungeon masters in their real lives because there is a ton of attention paid to this world and the respect it deserves. And that's coming from someone that never actually got into D&D myself, but now after only playing Baldur's Gate 3 for a short time, I can't get enough of this world and its lore. There are so many different locations that vary from scary to otherworldly to beautiful, and in each area there are new things to discover that teach you more about this fantastical world and the people, creatures, and politics within it. And this level of immersion is only heightened by all the fantastic quests. Each and every main, side, or companion quest you go on has multiple different permutations and possibilities, and it makes the story that much more engaging when all of the choices you make have a big effect on each mission, and those consequences carry over later into the game where you get to see how things played out. Like meeting a character who you saved earlier in the game, for example, and that leading to an entirely new quest line later, which for me is exactly what I like out of my quests and games. Their voice acting is great, the writing is impactful, and there are a lot of slow and fast-paced scenes alike with each character that really fleshes them out. I can't go into much depth here because I don't want to spoil anything, but pretty much every single character you meet and recruit to your party has a very compelling backstory. So much so that I had difficulties picking who I wanted to take with me on adventures because I wanted to know more about everyone. Luckily for us though, even if you don't take your party members out with you into the open world in different areas, you still get to see their story progress back at camp, albeit with lots of missing scenes you would have otherwise gotten had you brought them along. Another nice thing too is oftentimes characters will have things to say about other companions on the team, and their relationship to each other matters almost as much as your relationship to each of them. It makes it feel more like a team effort, and I'm hoping in the later stages of the game we will get even more Avengers level moments with everyone talking and interacting. But that remains to be seen. The one issue I did have with the characters though, and this is going to sound weird, but they are all way too damn horny. I swear at the start of the game, I felt like I was an attractive woman on Tinder, where absolutely anything I said or did, my companions responded with a resounding, "I see what you're saying, but we should have sex right now." Literally before I even had the chance to speak to and get to know any of these characters, they were heavily flirting with me and begging for some attention. And while I could only wish I had this effect on women in real life, in game it honestly just felt weird. I wish Larian had toned it down just a little bit. I get how cool it is being able to romance companions or have relationships with an actual bear, and I think that stuff is fine, but the characters and their stories and acting are so great on their own. I don't need them to desire me too quickly in order to get attached. In fact, I think they would have been better served to just make more of the characters sexually reserved at the start. Games often have this problem too, where relationships just feel weird and forced at first, and sadly, Baldur's Gate 3 very much has this problem in spades, and even later on the non-stop sexual innuendos can get tiring, even for a young single guy like me. Once you get past that hurdle though, these characters do have some really great moments that shine, and just based on how their arcs are progressing, I would imagine there are going to be some very heartfelt and memorable moments in Act 3. Another part I really enjoyed as well was the main story. It's something I once again basically can't talk about at all here since this is a non-spoiler first impressions, but suffice to say there are some really good twists and turns in here that will keep you engaged the whole way through. And by my estimation, having a great main goal for a game is always crucial, and Larian definitely did a good job here. I can't wait to see how the story progresses into the finale. And while I wish I could talk to you guys about more specific moments and things that happen that are so awesome, I'll have to save that for my full spoiler review when I finally am done with the game.